enjoy the show. Play on Perjangers.
Oh, well, we affectionately call him Jackass.
Jackass.
Yes,
Tell me
we
how
do
you
not
met
give
Jackass.
him a name. I met him when I was in pharmacy tech school.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was he also a pharmacist, or like was he?
He was, well, it was pharmacy tech. So I would never go to school to be a pharmacist. I can't do that. It's a lot of work. It's not for me. But the pharmacy tech part, he was in school to also be a pharmacy technician, and we met each other on the first day that we were there.
Okay. And then, like, did it just progress, like, pretty naturally from there?
Yes.
Or?
It took a while to start dating. It took a while to get into a relationship. It took a while to move in with each other.
So you were just, like, friends for a bit first?
Yes. So we were friends. We hung out together. It was, now looking back at it, I saw the narcissistic gaslighting ways, and I'm like, how did I not
miss that?
Then?
Yeah.
How did I miss it?
When you're attracted to somebody, a lot of the times you do just miss the signs.
Right.
Like, you just either miss them entirely or you just completely ignore them.
I think I ignored them.
Yeah.
Only because I had realized that, and looking at it now, going back and saying, how did I ignore it?
Yeah.
It was because I don't have a very good relationship with my mom either. We don't speak. And when we do, it's usually stressful. Not even bad, it's just stressful.
Oh, don't I know it?
Yep. So the day before I started school, and actually coincidentally the day before I met him, my mother looks at me and goes, "You're the worst mom. You're going back to school. You're going to fail. You are going to do a horrible job." So I think I went from looking at that and listening to that to her, to him saying, "I'm going to take care of you."
Right.
Don't tell me.
When you're in a situation where you're already being, like, verbally abused by somebody that you're supposed to trust, and then you find somebody who has the signs of like a abusive behavior, and you're choosing to ignore them, it's really easy for that person to see your life as, oh, well, they're already being treated poorly. So if I just for a little while treat them with, respect and make all of these promises, then I can get in and I can separate them from the rest of, their outside sources. And that's a main abuse tactic.
Exactly. So, yeah, that is how we met.
So when did you start dating then?
We started dating a few months after we met and were friends. I'm a very simple person when it comes to dates, when it comes to being together. And I think that I was feeling so low about myself.
Right.
I was like, this is okay.
This is fun.
This is going to work. It's great. It's lovely. So that's how we started dating. And again, I will preface every step of the way. How did I not see it?
Right.
How did I not see it?
It's rough. I know you said you had 2 kids.
Yes.
Are both of them his?
No.
Okay.
So me and Jackass were never actually married. So we got married around COVID, and I forgot to send in my marriage license. And I found that out. I was actually on my way to Matt's house. We were headed down, I want to say, to either Maryland, but not Baltimore. I don't know where Baltimore came from. Either somewhere in Maryland, or we were going to Rehoboth Beach.
Right.
To get pictures and meet up with a floral friend of mine. And I called the courthouse, and I was like, am I married? That was the first question I asked them. They were like, who are you? And I was like, so I told them who I was, and they were like, no, you're legally not married.
Legally? No, girl, no.
And I never forget getting out of the car so that he could drive my Jeep, Matt could. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not married. It was the best experience.
Absolutely gotta roll all the windows down for that one.
Yeah.
You might as well.
That trip for photos, or whatever that trip was the best, most relaxed moment of my life.
It's just like this weight is being lifted off of your shoulders.
Now, I hadn't left yet, so I had to go home.
Okay.
To that situation.
Yeah.
When we lived with his mom. It was, so I remember going home and having to keep that inside.
Right.
And it took only a few more weeks until it all came out.
So would you say he was verbally abusive or physically?
Physically and verbally.
Okay, so we're working with both here.
Yes. It was a grab bag of fun, whatever. Emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and we also had a touch of sexual abuse.
Right.
And everybody says to me, with a quote unquote married couple, how is it sexual abuse? And that we can get into at a later time,
right?
Because that probably would take a whole show.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, consent is still consent whether you're married or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
Oh goodness. So I think that it's interesting too because like with people who are verbally abusive, I think it's more difficult to catch the signs because with, physical abuse, you have the bruises to show, you have, you look in the mirror and you remember like this happened to me.
Right.
Whereas with verbal abuse, it's very much like mental manipulation.
Yeah.
In the way that like you are convinced that this situation is either A, your fault,
mm-hmm.
B, like it's there's nothing you can do about it. It's not actually abuse.
Right.
He just says mean things sometimes. How could that be abuse?
Exactly. And the funny part, and I mean funny in a very loose way, is that he would be verbally abusive the most in front of his mother. And then his mother would start the same thing. So she would say, oh, that's how my son talks to his wife. That's how I'm going to do it too. So I would sit there and get it from every angle. And then what nobody else would see was that I would get it from my mother too.
Yeah. Moms are fun like that.
Yeah. So I always said I was not going to be like my mom.
Yeah.
And I am so okay with the fact that I am nothing like her.
I love that for you, honestly. Listen, I love my mom. But my mom is, she's verbally abusive as well. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily to me. It's more directed at my dad. She's an alcoholic. Okay. And that's always been like a point of contention because like, my sister and I, we smoke. We smoke weed. So, we're just doing our thing, and weed, and I know people will probably argue this, but I do not believe it is addictive. Can you get addicted to it? Yes. Only if you have an addictive personality already, though.
I love that on every aspect. Yeah. That is so true. And it's so funny because I learned that most when I became friends with Matt. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about, because I was never actually able to embrace what I did and love it. Right. And have it free me of everything. Never forget being told that I healed a lot quicker than people would have thought.
Yeah.
It is. And I credit a lot of that to being able to do things that I want to do at the pace that I want to do them at and be able to learn who I am again. So I do believe 100% what you're saying. Weed does not, you cannot get addicted to that unless you have an addictive personality.
Right. And with an addictive personality, you can get addicted to anything.
Yes.
You can get addicted to a TV show. You can get addicted to a certain type of food. Like caffeine is a drug, and caffeine is addictive in a chemical way. Mm-hmm. Like it has properties that will make you addicted to it, whereas weed does not have those.
So you know what I want more right now than I want anything else is a soda.
Yeah, because that's caffeine.
Yeah, that's my caffeine addiction. Mm-hmm. That is a real honest to God way to say it. I have a caffeine addiction. Yep. I do not have a weed addiction. I do not have a edible addiction. I have a soda addiction.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question because I was curious. I thought about this after our last show, and I wanted to ask you. You had expressed some things that had gone on with you.
Yeah.
When you had gotten into a relationship with Tom, how did he handle the things that you had gone through in your past when you had expressed them to him?
Honestly,
if you did.
Beautifully.
Awesome.
He has always been incredibly supportive. He has experienced a lot of the same types of hardships. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I would argue sometimes that it's more than what I had to go through because I had my parents there,
right.
As much as my mom can be verbally abusive these days, she wasn't always like that. The only reason that she's like this now is because of the alcohol.
Right.
She is a heavy alcoholic, and my parents are generally fine until she gets like a certain number of shots is what it takes for her to become, more violent, I guess you would say.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
And you don't have to answer this. Is she more open to trying other things besides that, or are we past that?
So
And I can get this. I can take this.
she likes to pretend like she's open to trying other things. In an effort to make it look like she is trying something. We all know that it's not going to, get anywhere. She actually, a few weeks ago, she had told my sister and I that she was going to try smoking with us.
Okay.
And my mom has smoked before. Like, she used to do it a lot when she was a teenager, and like when I was young, she gave birth to me at 19, so she was still very young.
Right.
So like, I know a lot of the times I would go and stay with my mom on Friday nights, and that's when they would, take their bong rips and stuff. Yeah. So she had said to us that she wanted to try. So we were like, awesome, because my sister loves to ask people if they want to hit.
Absolutely.
Anytime we're smoking anything, anytime anybody walks through the room, she's like, "Hey, you want to hit?"
It's
knowing that they'll say no.
I learned this too. Once I started doing edibles and smoking with other people, is the sharing thing. It is if somebody's in your house or whatever, you got to find
It just feels like courtesy, you know, like
I can't take a gummy without saying
offering one. Yeah.
Like, I'm glad I gave you a lollipop
Yeah,
today. So
I'm glad. I'm excited to try that.
Our local smoke shop in Brookhaven has infused lollipops. And as long as you keep sucking on them, and what better show to talk about that than this one? As long as you suck on them the whole time, it gets into your system and it's a nice, calm, and relaxed.
See, I've always had issues with edibles. Like,
Really?
they just don't work well for me for some reason.
Okay, so here's the thing, because your tolerance might be too high. I used to take 5 to 10 milligrams a day on occasion, and I used to be so good. Now it takes 2,000.
Yeah.
So that's a little thing. But that's fine. So I mean, like, telling your mom about the lollipops, I would just tell her.
So she did. She smoked with us for about 2 days. And then it was straight back to drinking again.
Okay. So that's just something that, she's going to have to work through. And we all will. And if there is anybody who is listening who needs help with the domestic violence or any alcohol recovery, there is a ton of different resources. And we will include them in our description of our podcast. And we will include them on our Facebook page.
Love you, Mom. Don't want to talk shit, but it is what it is.
We can take it out too if you want. So
absolutely not.
All right, so we're keeping that in. You know what, Rihanna's mom, love you too. So definitely.
She's not gonna watch this anyway. It's fine.
Just in case. So other than that, do you have any other questions you want to ask me?
So you were saying, like, his mother would join in.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a learned behavior from her, or was it something that...
Oh, yeah. No, it was. The only person who broke that generational curse out of her 7 kids was her only daughter. So Elizabeth is the only person that I have ever seen in that family who would stick up for me.
Right.
And would stick up for herself.
Yeah.
Her 6 sons would talk trash on me constantly. All of them.
Listen, 6 kids is a lot, but
7.
also
7.
Oh, well, 7 kids, a lot. But also, teach your kids how to fucking behave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, hands down, like, I'm not a parent, so I don't want to get too much into, that kind of thing, because I don't have that experience.
Yeah, if you ever want to have that experience someday, I think knowing this stuff now is going to be great.
But I mean, like, I see some of the worst kids out in public, and I don't understand, like, how they can be that way. I would never, if I acted like some of these kids act in, like, like the drugstore or, like, Walmart or something, my mom would have beat my ass when I got home. Absolutely. Like, and look.
Oh, I agree.
My mom was not physically abusive. I know I was just talking about her verbal abuse that is purely directed towards my dad. We got the belt a couple times, and every once in a while we'd get, a little slap on the wrist kind of thing. I never felt like I was physically abused in any way.
Right.
Like, it didn't have any lasting impact on me.
Right.
besides knowing how the fuck to behave in public.
Oh, I know. We were at Five Below with my daughter on Friday, and my daughter knows how to ask for things. I dropped way too much money on this child for 2 trips. And I'm like, how did I do this? How did I get here this fast? It's really shocking. But we were in Five Below, and she, she's 12. She's taller than me.
Yeah.
So she's like 5'6", 5'7". And even if she threw a tantrum on the floor, I would drag that kid up by her collar. Oh, no, there would be no. Like, I don't care how old you are. Don't do that.
Absolutely.
I was in, where did we go after that? We went into Ross after that, a few stores down, and it was just me and her. And there was this girl who just completely threw a tantrum. She must have been like 6 or 7. And I'm like, oh, Sophia's like, Mom, I'm really good, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
You don't compare yourself to a 6-year-old, but yes, you are really good. So, yeah, I mean, his mom needed to put the kibosh into the way these kids acted, especially her 40-year-old son.
Absolutely. If you're that old and you're still acting like a piece of shit, I really think you need to reevaluate and go to therapy.
He would sleep all day long and not wake up until 8 o'clock that night.
Did he have like a night job, or was this just his schedule?
Well, at that time, he didn't work.
Oh, okay. So this was just how he was.
Yeah. When he worked, he only was up while he was at work and then would sleep. Do you know whose fault that was?
Yeah, I can take a guess.
One guess. But yeah, so yeah, that answers that one. He is just a learned behavior.
Yeah, I mean, abuse, I think, generally is a learned behavior.
It is.
It's very much like you see your elders treating other people this way, and then in your brain, that's just okay.
See, to a point, I will argue that one because I'm a product of everybody and anybody in that family that I came from abusing each other in any form that they could.
Yeah.
And to be honest and completely transparent about that, I walk into my adulthood and I couldn't imagine anybody being sad, upset, or hurt at my hands.
Oh, absolutely.
Or my words.
I feel like sometimes I'm overly nice because like I just don't want anybody to get upset. And that could be like the people pleaser in me. Which it is a bit of a problem because a lot of the times when you're a people pleaser, you take that kind of stuff to heart, even when it's not meant to be taken to heart. Like if it wasn't something that was that serious, you just can't help yourself.
Now I do have a crazy question for you, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but when you were, after the abuse that you went through and things that you've gone through, going into a perfectly healthy, wonderful relationship with Tom and having a relationship and doing things that in other relationships might have scared you.
Right.
How did you learn to adjust to that? Like even with Tom saying the nicest things to you, I remember being given a compliment when I first got out of my abusive marriage and I didn't know how to take it.
Yeah, how do you handle that?
How do you handle the affection, the people? Like, how did you handle that?
Because then a lot of the times, too, like, when you're in an abusive situation beforehand and you get that, it feels fake. Like, it feels like it's, like, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right. Like, you're saying to yourself, okay, they're being nice to me. When is this going to stop?
Right. Like, when is it going to turn around?
So, I will tell you the one thing that I always said after I left my abusive relationship was everybody always leaves me. And it gets to
Fear of abandonment is a big one.
Fear of abandonment. That's it. So I had gone through a portion of my recovery from abuse going, oh my God, I can't get too close to people. Everybody's going to leave. Everybody always leaves me. And then you hear yourself say the words. Like I hear myself say them now and I'm like, that's ridiculous.
That sounds like hogwash. Absolute hogwash.
I love the use of the word hogwash. That's great. That's staying in.
Word of the day.
Word of the day. Actually, I have a word of the day. We're going to get there at the end. So it's a new segment that we're going to have, which is the word of the day. But yes, back to you about getting into like, did Tom have to work with you too on beginning to trust him?
I think a lot of it was both of us. Because like I said, he experienced a lot of like similar situations to me in his life before we had met. So for him, so for me, it was the fear of abandonment because the last like really serious relationship I was in right before him was and I genuinely believe that this relationship made me believe in love. Like it was the first real genuine love that I ever experienced.
Right.
It didn't end well because it was high school. So generally those things do not pan out the way you want them to. I was the one who took his virginity.
Wait,
so
who? Hold on, I lost train.
my high school boyfriend,
okay,
right before Tom.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a whole thing for the both of us. And then I remember I bought prom tickets. He had tried to break up with me about 4 months into our relationship, and I was dead in love with this guy. I was so head over heels for him. Like he lived down the street from me. I would walk and like hang out at his house all the time. You know, we would have little movie nights and stuff. Like it was just. And after, so I had done cyber school from the time I was 14 until I was 16. And those are some pretty formative years. I spent most of them inside a house on a computer by myself. Yeah, so that certainly, I think, stunted some of my mental growth there. And then once I got back to regular school and I was, you know, talking to people more, making more friends and like meeting new people, it was strange because I felt like I was behind everybody else. Okay. In like my emotional maturity and stuff. Aside from the fact that, you know, I had been through a lot already at that point. Right. So when I met him and he took an interest in me and we started talking and stuff, it just felt so natural. And then 4 months in, he's like, I don't think I can do this anymore. You know, it's been a great time. It's nothing that you did. It's just like, I don't want to be in a committed relationship. And at the time, I definitely viewed that as like, well, he just wanted one thing and he got what he wanted. So now he's ready to move on because I was the first one. So now he wants to try other ones. And that's how I thought about it and it sucked because he did it in such a way where it was like so nice. Like he was never like mean to me. He never ignored me. He wasn't really hostile. So I had convinced him that we should stay together.
Oh my.
So that was a me mistake.
I'm so glad that you can point that out for yourself. Yeah. Because there are still people who are your age and my age who have done that in the past. Right. Even if it's high school and still keep making that
same mistake.
Over and over again.
I was, like I said, dead in love with this guy. So I'm like terrified because I also have that fear of abandonment, you know? Like I'm so scared that everybody that I care about is going to leave me at some point. Right. Because that's just how it had been for me up until then. And so I convinced him. I was like, oh, maybe we just don't do enough stuff. Like, maybe we should go out and, like, do more stuff, and that'll help our relationship. Well, didn't work.
Can I interject for 1 second? So, when I was married to Jackass, and I would want to go out. I am a going out person. Like, ask people.
I used to be.
Okay. Well, you should try to get back to there again.
I'm trying. Listen.
So, Jackass used to tell me, oh, yeah, we'll go out. Yeah. Because I like to go out with people, especially if I care about them. Yeah. And I enjoy being around them, and I enjoy their personality, and it's like electric personality. I'm like, okay, I don't care if we're going to the car wash. Like, we're going together.
We're going somewhere.
We're going to do something. So now.
Get in, bitch. We're going to the car wash.
Yeah. You know what? That's the title of this one, actually.
Get in, bitch. We're going to the car wash.
So that's the title of this podcast, and I love that. But so we have to remember that one. And actually, it's recorded, so there's no way to forget. But anyway, I go to bed at 9 o'clock. Right. 9:30 at the latest, and I am up by 6. Sometimes by 5, but I stay in bed. I am up by 6. I get to see the sunrise. I get to go to the supermarket at 8 o'clock if I wanted to.
It's such a mum thing to want, but like I feel it in my bones. Like I love being a mum at 26.
Yes. Well, I also love like sitting on the couch and on the laptop,
just hanging out,
and just hanging out.
I just want to watch some TV shows, maybe get a little high, maybe we'll play some video games. You know,
the best of both worlds is what you get when you're comfortable. And at 41, comfort isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you've been put through the ringer. You're like fight or flight mode.
Finally, you get some semblance of peace.
Exactly. Just, I think of myself as the old TWA planes. Do you remember those TWA airplanes?
I think
that
so,
now
yeah.
sit on the tarmac.
Yes.
And they don't move.
I bet they're so relaxed.
Right? So I'm as relaxed as a TWA airplane who's sitting in a museum, actually. And I get to go out sometimes to show off and
every
fluff
once in
my
a while,
feathers,
yeah.
right?
But then most of the time, I'm just going to be here. I'm going to be here, and I'm
Right.
going to be in PJs, probably.
So now to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, that's the part that scares me.
Yeah.
Of having to, and I don't feel like that anymore. I should say, let me preface this. That's the part that scared me in the beginning.
Yeah.
Finding somebody who wants to learn and grow and with you and comfort you and say, tell you when you're being a bitch, tell you when you're being an ass, tell you when you're being amazing. I mean, it is kind of a comfort thing.
I love the use of the term "my person" because that is really what like a healthy relationship feels like. Like anytime I do anything, if I'm, out by myself, first thought I have is, "Oh man, that was so cool. Can't wait to go tell him." Cannot wait to go tell him.
Now, see, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, but I don't call it my person.
Yeah.
Normally, I would call it my co-pilot, my
that's fun.
Yeah, my whatever else you need two people to do, like
Bonnie and Clyde over here. My
Bonnie
partner
and
in
Clyde,
crime.
Partner in crime, Bonnie and Clyde. What else? It's always a two-person thing, but I love that. I love that because nobody. And the other thing too is nobody else has to understand it. Nobody else has to worry about it. Nobody else has to care.
It's extra funny too because like you'll see something and it'll remind you of like an inside joke you have with like your partner or something.
Right.
And then it's like they're the only other person that would understand that. And it's just like there's like this sense of like kinship with like, your person. And it's such like a comfortable thing.
Yeah. Now that brings me to my question of the day because as posted on our Facebook page, being friends, were you and Tom, I know how you guys met.
Right.
Do you think that you and Tom went right into a relationship or did you guys have that span of time where it was like a friendship too? Because friendship is definitely that starting base of where you find a relationship.
So, I was 18 at the time. So I very much just jumped right in.
Okay.
I was ready from the jump.
So you guys have been together for
8 years.
Holy moly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
February.
Last time I said this, I got what I wanted because I got to go to one, but I could really go for some wedding cake.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But
see, that's a whole other topic that we're going to have to save because him and I both have very specific ideas about marriage.
Oh, so that you can tune into another time.
Yeah.
We'll give you a heads up when that episode's coming out because that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So marriage.
Ugh.
So yeah, we're not even gonna talk about that.
Oh,
right now.
what I was saying before about my previous boyfriend before him. So he tried to break up with me at 4 months. I convinced him. I was like, we just need to do more stuff, King. Let's go.
That will solve it all.
And then it was just like the worst 2 months of my life because it was like.
Did you expect it?
I did, and that's the worst part is that like I had in my head I was like, it's gonna be fine now. We're gonna be fine if we just do more stuff. And then there was like a lack of interest.
That's the equivalent of we're gonna be fine. Let's have another baby.
Yeah. There was like a clear lack of interest there from him at that point, and I was holding on so tight that like I would have anxiety attacks in class thinking about it because I'm like, I don't want him to break up with me. Like I've never loved anybody like this before.
Oh my God.
And so I bought us tickets to prom. And
did you guys both go to prom?
We did go to prom.
Oh, good.
And listen, so he was the absolute sweetest about this.
Okay.
Because so I bought us tickets to prom about a week and a half before prom. He's like, hey, do you want to hang out? So I was like, yeah, let's hang out. And he was like, we're just going to walk around the neighborhood for a little bit. And I knew it was weird. I was like, something's going on.
Walk around the neighborhood.
Yeah, so
what is
he
this,
brought
1950?
he brought his longboard because he was like a skater.
So it's like the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was just riding. I was walking beside him. It was quiet for a while there until he finally worked up the nerve to turn around and go, I really think we should break up. And I was like,
okay. So when the guy is
At that
like, I
point-
really, really think that we should just not do this anymore. What's
at
your
that point, I looked at him and I was like, you're right. Because I just had the worst, like I was in like such a state for those 2 months because I was like clinging on to something that didn't exist anymore, you know, like,
yeah.
I was so adamant about this relationship working that I didn't consider the fact that he just did not have those feelings for me anymore.
Right.
And what made it even more difficult is that it was nobody's fault.
That's usually how the best breakups are. Are you guys still friends?
I talk to him every once in a
Okay.
while. Like we're cool with each other. It's not like there was no like animosity or anything. So I looked at him and I was like, you know what, you're right. We should break up because this is clearly not working for either of us.
Right.
And I was like, what do you want to? Because at first I said, well, do you want to just wait until after prom? Because I was like, we got to go to prom together.
Oh my God.
And he's like, no, I think we should break up now. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'll still take you to prom though.
Oh.
So he did. He took me to prom, and he was like extra attentive all night. He made sure that I had a good prom.
That's
I still cried in
amazing.
the bathroom a little bit because
Well,
I
of
was still
course.
upset about being broken up with.
Well,
but
it's not prom unless you are crying in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I mean, it was our senior prom, so it was, you know, the last hurrah before graduation, and he was so sweet. He picked me up. We took, you know, prom pictures outside of my house. We like got food after prom, and like
Okay.
I stayed. A bunch of us stayed at his friend's house. So, you know, we slept like on couches in the basement and stuff. Because, you know, we went back to his place and we smoked a bunch. And then just like laid around in our prom attire until we all passed out from exhaustion.
And again, another prom. Now, see, I've never been to prom, so I am basing all of my prom knowledge off of 90s movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
They're not as fun as 90s movies make them seem. I'm going to be honest.
no,
They're
it just
kinda
seems like
awkward.
too much work. I mean, between having to buy the dress and going to get
Oh my
pictures,
God.
when do you actually have fun? And I think that's another question for another podcast.
Yeah.
Because I don't, that's why. So everybody says they lose their virginity on their prom.
I did not.
Well, not everybody, but
Unfortunately for me, I lost mine before that.
oh, but here's the other thing. When do you find time to have sex at prom?
That's what I'm
There's
wondering.
no
There's so much
time.
happening. Like, girls will take like the entire day, and I did it. I took the entire day to get ready. I went and got my nails done.
Right.
There are some girls that will make like hair appointments and stuff. I had my cousin do my hair because I wasn't doing all that.
I would have thrown my hair up in a claw clip and said, "That's
I'll have
it."
I'll have to show you some of my prom pictures because
Oh,
that
can you
dress.
show all of us next time? We'll
Yeah.
do a prom picture. I don't have one, so just yours.
That's fine.
All right, that works.
That dress was gorgeous. It was like a mermaid style gown.
You know what? We'll
It
include it
was-
in this podcast.
yeah.
It'll go right up there, so you're fine.
It was and is the most expensive dress that I've ever owned in my life. It was about $300. Which is
okay.
still on the cheaper end for prom dresses,
Yeah,
surprisingly.
I was gonna say there's a lot of prom dresses now that are like 15 to 2,000.
But, you know, like, we were poor, so, like, this was, like, huge for me to get a dress
Right.
that was this expensive.
And I sympathize with you on that
Yeah.
one. Hence why I didn't go to prom.
Yeah.
It was money.
It's very expensive
Yeah.
because the tickets alone are, like, $50, if I'm recalling that correctly. I don't
I
know what
went-
they are these days.
I went to Upper Darby, and they were about, I want to say $125
Oh,
a
my
ticket.
God.
Because it was held at Drexelbrook.
Okay.
And it was
Yeah.
bougie because you
We had
couldn't
ours in
hold anything
Philly.
at Upper. Yeah.
It was the Macy's Crystal Ballroom, I think, was the one that we went
That's
to.
so
near Center City.
funny that you mentioned that. You know, they're relocating the Crystal Ballroom.
Are they?
And do you know that the Time Capsule, the movie you were in, will be shown at the Crystal Ballroom? They're doing
Oh,
a huge
hell
party
yeah.
for us.
Well, that's going to be a blast from the past for me.
Yeah, right? We should make it a 90s themed and do a 90s prom theme for the party.
I'm going to cry in the bathroom again.
Yes. No, I'll send Tom in after you. I'll be like, go check on your girl. She's crying in the bathroom
Yeah,
for,
well,
for the prom
At least
experience.
this one gives a crap about me. No, like I said, he was so sweet all night.
But it
like
wasn't
he was
his obligation to take that kind of
Yeah.
care because the whole reason you were crying in the bathroom was because of
It was my fault. I was crying in the bathroom because it was my fault, guys. Don't get me wrong. I know I probably shouldn't have
know what?
goaded him into the relationship.
A queen who could take responsibility for what, you know.
Absolutely.
I value that. You are the MVP of this podcast. I'm so proud to have you
I
on
just
here.
feel like people who don't know how to admit they're wrong are
Right.
the worst kinds of people.
Well,
Because then they'll argue with you like they're right, even after they've been proven wrong. And, like, what is the point? Why are you wasting your energy on this? Can't you just say, oh, I didn't realize, and move on?
we call that person a jackass. So don't worry about that. Like, you take responsibility for what you're doing. You are not the jackass. I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you why you are not the jackass for doing what you did. Because if he did not want to be in a relationship for that long, he should have seen his way out of it before.
Yeah,
He
you're
is
right.
a grown-ass man
absolutely, you know,
in high school.
yeah.
You
I mean,
can do
we were seniors, so he was 18 at the time.
Oh.
I was 17, because I'm a September baby, so
You were behind.
yeah, like a year.
So you can't take the responsibility all solely on yourself.
Yeah.
It's a situation where you're like, well, there's two people in this relationship.
Yeah,
You
I
both
mean,
can make that decision.
He certainly, and I think he knows that he should have just ended it when he tried to the first time instead
Exactly.
of, like, going along with what I said. And, like I'm not passing off accountability here because I shouldn't have done that. Like, that was manipulative behavior of me because I was trying to hold on to something.
Well, the most important part, did you learn from what you did?
Absolutely.
Are you in a nice, healthy relationship now?
Absolutely.
Then that's all that matters. I got the privilege to meet Tom 2-3 weeks ago when we were
Yeah.
at the beach doing the movie. And
Such a sweet,
Tom-
handsome man.
he is the nicest guy. Tom has a very musical ear. He's a very musically inclined.
He's
He's
always
very
been.
talented. Glad to say that me and him did talk before this podcast about
Yeah.
teaming up. We're going to be doing some performances in media right there on the streets. I want you guys to come out, see us.
Yeah.
We're also going to be headed down to City Hall also, which is great. Now, I have to say I would never go into that kind of effort with somebody that I barely know to make
Love
sure
that
that
guy.
they get the kind of credit that they need to,
Yeah.
unless I actually saw that they were a nice person. So ever since getting out of my abusive relationships, whether my mom relationship, whatever, I am very, very critical of critical is the wrong word. I'm very, I get very nervous around
Yeah.
other people. I'm very observant of them. I watch their mannerisms. I watch who they are. Are you going to encourage me to be a better person? Are you going to encourage me to do things I never want to do?
Right.
Like, does it go both ways? So that can be a friendship. That can be a relationship. Like, that is how I am. I'm a very, very particular, like, who I let in my life and who
Yeah,
sits
it was,
at my table.
we were talking a little bit about it earlier, but, like, when we first got together, I was still kind of stuck as I was 18, so, I still had, like, teenage morals, like, it was
Exactly.
very different. It took me a long time to really feel comfortable in the relationship to the point where I was like, okay, well, I could live with this guy. I could move in with this guy right now and I would be perfectly happy. We've been living together for 6 or 7 years. And
Oh my
it's
God.
been great. I mean, we don't argue. That's the other thing. And, like, I know some people like to say arguing in relationships can be healthy. And you're right, it can. But there's a difference between having a conversation and communicating, issues that you have and arguing.
Exactly. So here's the thing. I do believe that a little bit to a point, but I don't want to call it arguing. I want to say talking passionately.
Right.
Speaking your mind happens to everybody.
And, like, if you're decent people, you can have those kinds of conversations without getting angry. You
Exactly.
don't have to immediately jump to anger if you think that you're in the wrong.
I do believe, too, ever since I've learned, and it is a learned behavior, too, about communicating, I have learned that silence and walking away from a problem is not a bad thing either.
No, you really have to pick and choose your battles with that kind of thing.
And I love picking and choosing my battles.
Yeah.
I do, because I don't go to bed mad.
Yeah.
I try not to, at least. Even at myself. Like, when you're that's the other thing, too. Being in a relationship with yourself is something you have to be okay with being alone.
And that was really difficult for me because of the fear of abandonment.
So let's touch base on this, because there is a certain person that I hope is watching this podcast in this world that I hope can take away from this. I'm going to repeat it again for everybody in the back and for standing room only. You have to be okay with being alone before you even entertain being in a relationship. I am so okay with being alone.
Yeah.
I love to sit on that couch. I don't care who's here.
Yeah.
To have a conversation with myself in my head, to talk to myself about how I'm doing. How are you doing? What do you want to watch on the laptop that nobody else in this world would rather watch? Like, nobody else in this world wants to watch what you're watching.
My favorite thing is to make other people watch what I'm watching.
So now don't get me wrong, because I love to do that too. But I know that in the company I am in now, I am being introduced to a lot of things. Can I tell you that I love Rick and Morty?
Really?
I love it. I watch Rick and Morty every night, and it is the...
How do you feel about Bob's Burgers?
I have never watched Bob's Burgers.
Oh, my God. You would love it.
Now, unless the two other people in this area like Bob's Burgers, too, I already tried Adventure Time.
That one, that one's a whole thing for me. Don't even get me started.
All right, we'll talk about that another time, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think I was told
you have to get further.
You do, because somebody only watched one episode, and I hope that somebody is listening to me right now.
You have to get further. There is... like Lovecraftian, like eldritch beings in that show.
Exactly.
And it gets, so my sister's favorite episode, Adventure Time is like a favorite, an absolute all-time favorite for my sister and I, because she was pretty young when it came out.
Right.
And I was like, you know, mid-years, like tween kind of. So that was just a thing that we did together. And my sister and I used to argue a lot. Like I was the mean big sister. And,
okay,
you know, we've since
totally
talked about this and worked through it and everything, but, like, that was where we came together, that show. And then her favorite episode is one called The Hall of Egress.
Oh, my God, I love that episode.
It is a beautifully written, beautifully animated episode.
Yes.
I think about that episode frequently because it's just such an insane concept to put in a children's show.
Right.
Like, as a child, you're not going to understand that the way that an adult would.
So I don't look at Adventure Time ever as a children's show, but it's so funny.
It doesn't feel like
my
it,
daughter,
but it was.
Yeah, my daughter loves Adventure Time. So I have to try to reintroduce Adventure Time to ones who have only watched it one time and couldn't get through the first episode, because it is kind of a tricky situation. I think there's the first 3 or 4 episodes where you have to get through them.
You got to just watch it. And then, like, once you're past that, once you get to the Lich stuff, that's when it starts to get really involved. So, and, like... I don't know if you've seen the end of that show.
No, I haven't. No.
It's insane. It's utterly just absolutely wild.
So I used to watch that show all the time, and then I stopped because I was told that I was too old for it. So
you're never too old for anything.
That's when you have to be okay with being alone, because you're going to sit there and want to watch something. So I wanted to sit there. I wanted to watch Adventure Time. I wanted to get high. I was told I was too old for that. So I do love Rick and Morty, and I forget how we got onto this topic, and I'm sure once I go back to edit it, I'll figure it out. But we do that a lot, and that's okay. But Rick and Morty, I sit here, I watch it every night, and I love it because the jokes are grown up, but you still feel like a kid.
Right, like that's why, like, I think Adult Swim really is a pioneer in, like, adult animation. I mean, like, they were the first to start airing like anime in the US.
Yeah, now I will tell you too, I love anime. I love anime, but I only like I'm being introduced to more anime is great because I'm being introduced to things I've never seen before.
You got to get on that One Piece train.
Well, listen to this one though. I used to watch the anime where it was like the very awkward movements and the cats.
Oh, Sailor Moon? Is that what you're thinking of?
Well, it wasn't Sailor Moon, but it was a different type of anime.
Right.
Well, different anime, same type. But it was the weirdest thing because they were in school and they would wear the uniforms all the time. And I was like, would they ever have a change of clothes? But with this certain anime, there was one illustrator for it, like one person doing it, and that was it. So they kept them all in the same. It was a great anime, and I can't remember the name of it to this day. But
I'll have to look into it and see if I can find it for you.
It was... like, the girls had blonde hair or black hair. They had very American features, but they were still very anime.
Yeah, they like to do that a lot. There's a new one that me and Tom both really enjoy, called My Dress Up Darling. And the main female protagonist, her name is Maureen, and she's got blonde hair with pink tips, and like she is Japanese, but like she's really heavily like Americanized in her style.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
no, that's
I got to get you on that One Piece train.
what is that? Why?
One Piece?
What is that?
The best thing you'll ever watch in your life is what that is.
Okay, is
It
it
is.
anime?
Yes, it is.
You said it, and I was like, maybe that's some sort of lingo.
Nope.
Okay, you would have to. I wonder if somebody else knows. About
And my
that,
sister sent me a TikTok. I'll have to show it to you
Okay.
after. And it encapsulates the entire anime by basically saying like, it's about a pirate named Monkey D. Luffy, who is he's convinced that he's going to be king of the pirates, and he's not going to let you forget it.
Oh, I
He will
love
not
it.
let you forget it. And every arc is just like, all right, let me go punch this guy in the face for you.
So like he's like every guy with a dream.
He's
The guy is it? Monkey is a guy. I'm guessing.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he just goes by Luffy generally. Monkey, I think, is their last name. Because like, so with anime, it's always first name or last name first,
Okay.
first name second.
Wow.
The way that we like do it like officially over
Yeah.
here.
Well, I think that's how other because Canada does that too.
Yeah.
They're because they mix the dates around too.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah, they do.
everything's
I think
different
we might be the only country that does dates the way,
the way
that
we
we
do 'em. Yeah. I have to say, before we even get into another topic real quick, I really want everybody to hit like and share and whatever
Absolutely.
and follow because I have to tell everybody, including
Click that
you.
subscribe bell, guys.
Yeah, do everything you can because by December, was it January 1st or December 1st? I think it's December 1st, 2025. If we can hit 50,000, there is a company, a toy company, that is going to make the sex ed and everything in between line of toys to
Yes.
sell in the local stores. So let's get the likes, let's get the follows, let's do everything we can, Facebook, YouTube. But yeah, so get us our own line of sex toys. This
Hell
will
yeah.
be freaking awesome.
But so anyways, back to Monkey D. Luffy.
Yes.
So he's gonna be the king of the pirates. He's not gonna let you forget.
Okay.
He says it every 2 seconds, basically.
Okay.
But so you'll watch the first bit and you're gonna be like, this is all right, this is whatever. Once you get to Arlong Park, which is like the first main arc of the show, everything changes. Like there's just like this visceral reaction within you that's like, I cannot believe that this masterpiece is airing, and there are 1,200 episodes of it.
Must watch. I'll have to ask around and see if anybody else has heard of it too.
Yeah, I mean,
That won't affect
everybody
if I watch it.
If you ask any anime fan if they've watched One Piece, almost certainly they'll tell you yes. So the other fun part about him is that there are these things in the world called devil fruits.
Okay.
And they give you like powers, like abilities if you eat one. They do take away your ability to swim though. So
well, damn.
a pirate who's eaten a devil fruit then falls into the ocean because they're a goddamn pirate and they're on a boat. They just die.
Don't tell me too much more because I really just want to watch it now, and I don't want to. I want to be surprised.
Okay.
Because that's how I am. I love to be surprised. So I wanted to touch base on something else, and it's a little bit more of a private private question, not something more that I would just blur about. But we're on a sex podcast.
Yeah.
We can ask this question. When you and Tom, do you introduce? Speaking of sex toys, do you introduce any other things into the situation that make it easier to be a little bit more open, either now or in the beginning?
So, in the beginning, I was, like I said before, a teenager. So, like, I did not have as much, like, experience with, like, exploring anything that, like, I would want to, that might interest me, Like, I didn't have that sense of, like, oh, we could try this.
Right.
Now, I'm open to trying a lot more things. And it took a while in our relationship because, like, I had this view of sex in my head as how it was supposed to be. But it's really just spending time with somebody you love.
Now, after 8 years, do you guys still at the occasional flirt?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good.
I definitely, every morning I tell him he's handsome. He'll wake up and his hair will be all messy. And I'm like, oh, bet you didn't know how handsome you are. And then he'll say, no. And I'm like, yeah, I figured you probably didn't know. And he gets so upset.
Now, here's the other thing with that. Do you find it that men take compliments way worse than women.
Absolutely. They don't know how to
They
deal with it.
don't know how to do it.
Because, like, they're not used to it. Like,
No.
they've never been complimented before like that. Like I'll tell anybody on the street. Like, if I like something that somebody's wearing, or if I think something's cool, I will stop somebody on the street and be like, hey, love that. You look great.
Brianna, you're beautiful.
Like, thank you.
You're welcome. See, that is how everybody should take a compliment.
You're beautiful too, Jill.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, if somebody tells me I'm beautiful, like that I joke around with all the time or something, I'll be like, I know. And then
I know
I am. You're not telling me anything new. No, I just find it so hard to believe that men can't take a compliment the way a woman can.
It's the way that I feel like they're raised to be like stoic, you know, like a lot of the times, like, you're not supposed to accept compliments like that unless it's like something towards like your work ethic.
Exactly.
Generally that is when they get like the most like excited about a compliment. Like if a man is doing something on a car, for instance, my dad used to be a mechanic, so I know a little bit about cars. So if he's doing something on a car and he like, you know, he does something extra good, like maybe he's a detailer and he's like cleaning like specific spots, and you say, hey man, you did a great job. They are ecstatic about it.
Right,
They're always like, oh, thank you so much. I was just trying for you. But if you tell them like, oh, hey, I think that, you know, that shirt looks really nice on you, it brings out your eyes a lot, they do not know how to respond to that.
No, but the most aggravating response you can get to that is thank you.
Yeah, and like they don't mean it.
Not even that. Why can't you give it back?
Right, like why are you not complimenting? Even if you don't, if you don't really mean it,
right?
You could still say it, you know.
Yeah, like so is yours. Like your shirt's cute. Yeah, and then they'll be like, yeah, so is yours.
Yeah, there was a girl when we were in Maine in August. There was this girl that I saw in the Spencers. We had gone to the mall, and I think it was her hair, and I was like, oh my god, I love your hair. I think it's so cute. Like, you look really great. And she was like, thank you so much. And then, like, 5 minutes later, she came over to me before she left the store, and she's like, I really like all the little charms on your bag. And I was like, thank you.
She was trying to find something, which isn't a bad thing.
She was looking.
She was like, okay, what can I compliment her on that I actually like? Because you can tell when people don't mean it.
Yeah.
And when they do, because I can easily say, yeah, I like your piercing.
Yeah.
But I do at the same time, because yay for you. I could never do that. I'd be way too terrified. But
it's not as bad as you think.
Well, I'm getting my nose done eventually. Okay. I've had it before.
I've heard that the nose is rough, though, because it gets infected easily.
Well, it does. If you have at the time I had a 1-year-old and she went.
Oh, yeah. Gotta grab at every piece of jewelry.
Exactly. But, yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to know about your co-host before we...
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot today.
We did cover a lot.
We were just going.
Like, follow,
comment,
subscribe.
Facebook, YouTube.
Everything.
I'm sure we'll get an Instagram at some point.
Or TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm working on our TikTok, actually, because I do want to put blurbs from our show on the TikTok.
Yeah, like highlights.
Yes. Especially, what are we naming the show? Do we remember?
My God. Did I forget already?
I forgot,
Get in, bitch. We're going to, what was it? We're going to where? The car wash. We're going to the car wash.
We're going to the car wash. So if you would like to see any more, tune in next week. This episode will be out by Monday, 5 o'clock. And let everybody know. Like, follow, share. We love you guys. Delco, until next time.
Bye.